Tired of feeling like you're spinning all the plates in your design business and at any moment they could all come crashing down? Are you feeling like you're so close to breaking through to the next level, but those consistent projects still aren't flowing your way? Are you ready to finally take your business from a hobby to 100K and beyond? Then welcome to the Six Figure Designer Podcast. I'm talking all the techniques you need in your design business to start paying yourself, get great clients, and finally break through that 5-figure ceiling.
Well, hello everyone. Happy Wednesday. Pam Durkin here. I've been doing this, just started this little series of lives. Last week was our first one, and it's all about sales for introverts. And specifically, I am talking to creatives and to designers whose zone of genius really is creating and designing and doing all those creating beautiful interiors for their clients. But sales and marketing is not their strong suit. And believe me, I've been a designer for almost 30 years now. And those things, sales and marketing, were very difficult for me for many, many years until I started studying it and getting a little bit more comfortable with it, because I really needed to I was seeing that it was so hard for me and I needed to make it easier so that I could get um, clients. So welcome all, Mountain Lux. Hey, how are you? Um, Solo, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here and joining me again. I think Mountain Lux, you were here last week, so welcome back. Um, If you're a designer and you have your own business and you want to get better at sales and marketing, even though I'm calling it sales for introverts, it's also about marketing as well, because, technically sales is sort of the end of the process before you sign a client, but marketing is how you attract them, right? So we're going to really be talking about sales and marketing for introverts. And today we're actually going to be talking about how to make the most of your networking and your networking events. I just want to let you know that I'm going to be running a free workshop soon called Sales for Introverts, and the waitlist is open on that. If you're loving these topics and you want to dive more into that, I'm going to be hosting that free workshop. Go ahead and get on the waitlist. You can sign up with the link in my bio. And last week, we kind of talked about tracking leads and how tracking leads in your business, not just I get all my clients from referrals, but really getting into a little bit more details about tracking leads. We talked about how certain details can really help you in your sales and marketing moving forward in your business. If you missed that live, I've actually published that on my podcast called Six Figure Designer, and you can check that whole thing out there and you can, take notes and get all the information, because I got very, very detailed in tracking leads. But today we're going to talk about networking, because most of us find out about a networking event and then just go to the networking event, right? And then after the networking event, we might give out a few business cards or we might receive a few business cards, but kind of that's the end of it, right? And I want to be talking about how we can make the most of that, how we can really be making all of those networking events, very thoughtful, like a thoughtful use of our time. And then also how we can move people through the process, right, at those networking events. So I want you to be thinking about ways that you can be more proactive. And we're going to be talking about how you can go ahead and do that. So for instance, if you find that you're going to be going to a networking event, whatever kind of event it is, first of all, I want you to be thinking about who are the members of that community. Are there people that in that community that could get you leads, that could be great industry contacts for you, that might be your ideal client? Like, who are the people that are going to be attending the event? Because sometimes at certain events, there's vendors there that are not dealing in the type of clients or the type of projects that you want to be getting. Hey, Natty, how are you? And I want you to be thinking about who's going to be there. Is it going to be your either referral source or ideal client or whatever? So I want you to be thinking about that, first of all, before you attend an event that you want to be doing proactively networking at. Um, is there somebody there specifically that you want to be doing business with or that you've been meeting to meet or that you admire? So are those type of people going to be there? Or if you want to start creating relationship with someone in your industry, what about inviting them to that event as well, where you could go together or even, so we have to think about ways to contact potential referral sources and things like that. And how do we do that? We do that by giving first, or instead of saying, do you have a job for me? Can I get work from you? What if you said, hey, I saw this really interesting networking event and I was thinking this might be of interest to you because we're going after the same type of clients. So these are nice ways to stay in contact with people without being like, so do you have a job for me? Can you help me? So these are great ways to, think of inviting someone to come with you to something interesting that you found. I think that will go a long way. The other thing is if you have found somebody that's maybe a member of this group, or again, if somebody you've been wanting to do business with, say, hey, this event's coming up. I was just wondering if you're going to be attending it because I would love to talk with you there. I would love to meet with you there and just introduce myself so that we can say hello or get to know one another. So that's another thing. This is all before the event, not at the event, but before the event. So you can generally look at member lists, like if it's a local building association and there's a couple people that you've been really wanting to meet, you can go ahead and email them ahead of time. So think about that. And I would also be putting in place where, you have sort of the 1 to 2 or up to 4 must meet. Like there's a people that you want to be talking to or people that you want to be meeting there. A lot of these events also have magazine editors and things like that. That's what we're finding around here where I am, is that not only are you seeing builders and realtors and other designers and vendors, but you're also seeing the press there. So if you want to be making good contacts and inroads with the magazine editors, you could be talking to them, obviously, about what kind of content they're looking for. You could be talking to them about how do I stay in touch and those sorts of things. So those are great ways to also, maybe for another live is how to go ahead and get published. I've gotten published a lot and actually have never paid for any of my placement. So a lot of that comes down to networking and being a resource for the magazine editors. So I want to tell you a story about a coaching client of mine. She's an interior designer and she had decided to advertise in a local magazine here. And they were going to be doing an event where they were launching the issue of the magazine. And first thing they did was, of course, they invite a bunch of people from the community, but they also invite the advertisers to come and be a part of this big celebration. So we were talking about how to proactively network and how to make the most of this event. And I asked her to go through the magazine or to find out um, who the advertisers were in the magazine that she either wanted to meet, had a connection with, wanted to start doing business with, and she created a list of 3 or 4 people that she really wanted to get to know. Of course, you know, she could have said, I want all of them, but we wanted to be really thoughtful about her focus on what were the top 2 or 4 people that she wanted to meet. And the first thing we did, so y'all want to write this down, is you want to put your picture on the signature of your email. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So we had her put her picture on the signature of her email. And then she went ahead and sent an email to the 2 or 4 people that she was really looking to connect with. And some of them she had been talking to, but she had never met. They had never actually been able to have an in-person meeting or connect. over the phone. It was just, kind of emails back and forth. And she said exactly what I was mentioning earlier. Hey, I'm so and so. I'm also an advertiser in this magazine. I know they're doing this great launch event. Are you going to be there? Because I would love to just come over and say hi and introduce myself and, just talk to you for a few minutes and just get to know you. And she sent just a few of those emails back. And actually, you know how hard it is to get in touch with builders and other tradespeople who are you're looking for referrals for. They never, they're busy like the rest of us. So they have a really hard time kind of culling through all the emails. But she actually got all of them to respond to her and said, yes, some of them said, yes, I'm going to be at that event. Would love to see you there. A couple of them said, I'm not going to be able to make that event, but would also like to stay in touch. And so she attended that event with a purpose in mind, which the purpose was, of course, to meet these 3 or 4 people. And because she had put her picture on the bottom of her email, people were coming up to her and saying, oh my gosh, I know you sent me the email. I'm so glad to meet you. So thinking about that picture, and I've had this happen to me as well, where somebody will come up to me and said, I've seen your emails through, I had a, custom cabinet person. And somehow my emails had gotten, it's a bigger company. So somehow my emails with my details of what I wanted for that project were sent around to a couple people in the company. And when I walked up to the front desk, someone said, you're Pam, right? And that was all because they recognized my picture from the bottom of my emails. So first thing you need to do today is put one of your pictures at the bottom of the signature of your email so that when people see you, they recognize you right away. So they know exactly what you look like. So they're going to come up to you. So that was one of the things that happened there is that she had people literally coming up to her because she had proactively made this connection. So those were great opportunities there. And then somebody actually did not attend the event, but a colleague of them had attended the event. And after the event, she had gotten an email that said, I'm so sorry we didn't get to meet each other at the event. I know, you got to meet Joe from our office, but I also wanted to reach out. I would love to set a meeting up with you. And so this is incredible. Like, this is an incredible way to proactively make the most of networking events and make it so easy. Because I know a lot of us, myself included, hate to pick up the phone and just call somebody like randomly out of the blue. I'm always the one that sort of likes the soft entry where you get a chance you email them, you give them an opportunity for that to stay in their inbox. And they, it's a little bit of a reminder, like I have to, follow up with this person as opposed to voicemail. Half the time the voicemails are full anyway. So this is a nice sort of soft way to come in and say, hey, I'm going to be at this event. We have something in common and I would love to just meet with you because of course they're there to network as well. So I want you to be more proactive about that. And then as a follow-up to that story, she ended up meeting 2 of the 4 builders in person. Shortly thereafter, she has kept in touch with them since then. And it actually has garnered some real projects. So this is a technique that is so easy and it actually works really, really well. The next thing that I also want you to be remembering so much is that we go to these events and then we leave these events and then we're done with these events. Instead of thinking about, we talked about tracking leads. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Hey, Jonathan. I was on Jonathan's podcast. Hey, Jonathan, we had a great time on there. So good to see you here. But the one thing that we're not doing generally is we're not doing any follow-up. It's sort of like you're there. If you don't have a job for me, you're gone, right? We never think of each other again, or maybe we think of each other, but we never contact. So another part of your process should be, how am I going to periodically follow up with this person and stay top of mind? Because as you know too, and I have a pile of business cards in my drawer as well, is that you're not always keeping in touch with people until you need something specific. And then you're like, yes, I met somebody at some event some time ago that did this one thing that I'm looking for. Who was it, right? So thinking about ways that we can periodically stay in touch with them. Either you're going to put them on your email list. So you're going to start creating an email list, and that list could be segmented into clients, so customers, and then you could have a second list for vendors because those might be two different conversations. So you could be keeping in touch with them on your email list, or if you're doing like a newsletter every once in a while, or again, if you're just finding events or interesting articles that you find that you think would be um, so interesting to the person that you're trying to do business with. You could say, hey, I saw this article. This was great for my business because I'm working with young families and I know you are too. So I'm going to send it along to you. That's just how we stay in touch and create relationships. The other thing is if you're tracking, we're talking about tracking. If you're having an interesting conversation with somebody and you really hit it off, I want you to be afterwards remembering what that conversation was by putting it in your notes app or sending yourself a voice memo. Like, what were the interesting things, the connection points? Did you go to the same school? Were you from the same town? Do your kids in the same grade? Do you have the same favorite team? Like, what are those things that are making a big connection? Because that's what you're going to use to build on. That's like that's what we call relationship building, right? You're going to be more connected to somebody, not just necessarily in your industry, but somebody that has a connection to you. Both of my kids went to the University of Florida, and whenever I run into somebody who went to the University of Florida or whose children went to the University of Florida, there seems to be like a different kind of connection there. So I want you to be paying attention and being more proactive on what those kind of connections are and how you can make the most of that. So to recap today, if you're going to a networking meeting, I want you to be thinking about who the members are and who are the people that you want to be meeting when you go to that meeting. So pick 2 or 4, sending them a pre-email about that meeting and how you would love to connect with them while you're there. Thinking about after the meeting, how you can capture some interesting details from your conversation so you can keep that connection going. And then how are you going to continually follow up with them over time? So again, this goes into your tracking sheet is I've talked to them on this date and maybe the next, in a month, you do a follow up or in a week, or if they say they have an opportunity, then you follow up and say, I would, love to have talk to you more about that opportunity. So you have to have the follow up in there. And then the last thing is don't forget to put your picture on the bottom of your email because you're going to have that recognizable face, right? They're going to understand who they're talking to because people do business with people. And we want to humanize, especially our small businesses, that, we are a big part of our business. We wear our small businesses on our sleeves. They are a part of us. And so we want people to recognize our business and recognize us when they see us out and about. I hope you guys have taken this information for networking and make it a little less intimidating. And especially if you're an introvert, some really easy ways to make connections with people ahead of time. So you're sort of warming up that conversation before you get into a room of a bunch of people and you don't know who to talk to or what to talk about. So I hope that's helped you with that. I do have a free seminar coming up called Sales for Introverts. So if this is you, you might want to sign up on that wait list. That link is in my bio. And you can go ahead and get on that list because we're going to be talking about a bunch of other techniques to help you close sales in your interior design business. And if there's some questions for you guys, if there's some things that you want me to cover or some questions you have, I would love to hear about them. We can put them in some future lives. I'm doing lives every Wednesday at noon and love to have you come back and hear what you've been able to incorporate in your business and how that's working. And then further, like what kind of questions you have moving forward. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's live. Have a great hump day, as they say, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.